You're sitting in a meeting. Nothing is wrong. The room is safe, the temperature is fine, nobody is threatening you. And then your manager glances at you just a half second too long. Your stomach drops, your heart rate jumps, your palms go damp without your permission. Nothing happened. But your body didn't get that memo. This isn't anxiety. This isn't weakness. This is one of the oldest systems in existence, running at full speed inside a world it was never designed for. And once you understand what it actually is, you will never experience that stomach drop feeling the same way again. Your brain is not the calm, rational machine you think it is. Beneath the part of you that plans dinners and argues about movies, there is something ancient, something that formed when the world was genuinely, constantly trying to kill you. Neuroscientist Joseph LeDoux spent decades mapping this system. What he found was not a flaw. It was a miracle of survival that has simply refused to update its software. Here is the core truth. Your brain processes threat faster than it processes reality. That is not a metaphor. That is a measurable, documented, biological fact. A signal of potential danger reaches your amygdala, the brain's threat detection center, in roughly 12 milliseconds. Your conscious awareness of that same signal arrives later. Significantly later. By the time you have formed the thought, wait, was that dangerous? Your body has already flooded itself with adrenaline, tensed your muscles, and redirected blood away from your digestive system toward your limbs. The decision was made before you made it. LeDoux called this the low road, a fast, dirty signal that bypasses your thinking brain entirely. It is imprecise by design, because precision is slow, and slow gets you eaten. Think about where this system was born. Go back 200,000 years. You are a human being on the African savanna. You are walking through tall grass and something moves at the edge of your vision. At this moment, your brain faces the most consequential decision in the history of your survival. Was that a shadow, a bird, or a lion? If it was a shadow, and you treat it like a lion, you lose energy. You sprint for nothing. You look foolish to your group. That is the cost of a false positive. If it was a lion, and you treat it like a shadow, you are dead. There is no second chance. There is no learning from that mistake. Your genes do not get passed on. Everything you could have been ends in that tall grass. So evolution made a choice. It built a brain that always assumes the worst. A brain that would rather ruin 1,000 peaceful afternoons than miss one actual predator. Psychologist Daniel Kahneman described this as the asymmetry of outcomes. The cost of overcaution was inconvenience. The cost of undercaution was extinction. The math was never close, and that brain is still in your skull right now. The problem is not that the system is broken. The problem is that the triggers have completely changed, but the response has not. For hundreds of thousands of years, your threat detection system was calibrated to the same kinds of danger. Darkness, sudden movement, unknown faces, being separated from your group, heights with no grip, sounds with no visible source. These were the genuine, lethal categories of threat that shaped your nervous system across hundreds of generations. Now look at what activates the same system today. An unanswered text. A spike in your social media notification count. Public speaking. The subtle sense that someone in a group is annoyed with you. A bill you haven't opened. Walking into a party where you don't know anyone. None of these will kill you. But your amygdala does not know that. It was never given the update. It is still running on savanna firmware in a world that looks nothing like the savanna. Psychologist Mark Schaller at the University of British Columbia studied what he called the behavioral immune system, the set of ancient instincts that made humans deeply wary of the unfamiliar, the visually unusual, or the socially strange. These responses were adaptive. In a world without medicine, avoiding the unknown stranger who might carry disease was rational. Approaching unfamiliar food with disgust rather than appetite kept you alive. Today, those same instincts show up as xenophobia, as social anxiety, as the irrational discomfort you feel around someone who moves or speaks differently from what you grew up with. The threat system doesn't evaluate morality. It evaluates novelty. And novelty once meant danger. You can feel this working in real time if you know where to look. Your heart rate elevates when someone knocks at your door unexpectedly. Not because knocking is dangerous, but because unexpected sound was a survival cue for 100,000 years before doors existed. You feel watched in empty rooms. You glance toward dark corners automatically. You feel uneasy on the top floor of tall buildings, even when you trust the architecture. These are not irrational quirks. They are precision instruments for a world that no longer exists, firing perfectly in a world they were not built for. Researcher Arne Ohman at the Karolinska Institute ran a series of elegant experiments. He showed people images of different objects, flowers, mushrooms, guns, syringes, spiders, snakes, and measured how quickly their brains detected each one in a cluttered visual scene. Snakes and spiders were identified faster than anything else, including modern-day threats like firearms. People with no personal history of phobia, no traumatic snake encounter, detected them with remarkable speed and accuracy. The fear, it turned out, was not learned. It was inherited, baked in at a level far below experience. Your ancestors who flinched at snakes survived at higher rates than those who didn't. So that flinch became you. This is what neuroscientists call preparedness theory. The idea that evolution has preloaded certain fears. Darkness, heights, large eyes staring at you, fast movement from the periphery. Because these specific stimuli correlated with death across enough generations to become part of the architecture. You did not choose these fears any more than you chose your blood type. And yet they feel like yours. They feel like responses to what is in front of you right now. That is the most convincing trick the ancient brain plays. It presents thousand-year-old pattern matches as present-moment reality. Think about what happens when you watch a horror movie. You know, with absolute cognitive certainty, that what is on the screen is not real. You know the actor is safe, the monster is CGI, the threat is fictional. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain doing higher reasoning, holds this information confidently, and still your hands go cold. Still your breath shortens. Still you flinch before the jump scare because your body moved before your mind did. The low road activated. The amygdala fired. The body responded. Your rational understanding of the situation arrived, too late to stop any of it. This is not a failure of intelligence. This is the proof of how deep the system runs. It is older than language. It is older than abstract thought. It predates every story you have ever told yourself about yourself. It was there before you had a self to speak of. There is something almost beautiful about this when you sit with it. Every time you feel that stomach drop for no reason. Every time a notification triggers a spike of unease. Every time the dark hallway makes you walk faster even though you are completely alone in your own home. That response is not irrational. It is an unbroken chain of survival stretching back to the very first human beings who lived through something dangerous enough to permanently mark the species. The body remembers what the mind has forgotten. But here is where this changes everything for you, right now, in the world you actually live in. Once you know the system exists, you gain something your ancient ancestors never had. Distance. The ability to observe the alarm before obeying it. To feel the adrenaline, notice the constricted chest, and ask, what is actually here? Is the lion in the room, or just a rustle in the grass? This is what modern researchers call cognitive reappraisal. It is the act of acknowledging the signal without accepting its interpretation at face value. You cannot stop the amygdala from firing. Nobody can. But you can insert a pause between the fire and the decision. Your brain still thinks you are being hunted. It will probably never stop thinking that. That system is too old and too useful to be discarded. But you are the first version of the human being who knows it. Who can name it? Who can thank the ancient alarm for keeping your ancestors alive long enough to produce you, and then choose, calmly, what to actually do next? The next time your stomach drops for no reason, remember this. That feeling is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It is a sign that something went very right for a very long time in a world that looked nothing like yours. You survived because they flinched, and now the flinch is yours to do with as you choose.